and Michael Ross is still captain of the Unintelligentsia.
Exactly.
I get. Yeah, we have a new recruit for him after today.
Yeah, exactly. But like, here you go, man. Yeah.
You can have her.
You can have her.
All right, everybody. So, all right, Sammy, you have a good rest of your nights.
Yes, darling. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Oh, for those of you, if anyone here is new, we are a genius. This is just the discussion segment of the show where we go for a little bit talking about the segment, the discussion topic of the day. Today's topic is DNFing, reviewing, and what makes a good or a bad review. So, feel free to chime in the comments. We're discussing it between ourselves just as much as with you guys. We absolutely want to hear from the audience on this matter. It is of particular interest to us as we are writers.
Yes. Well, technically, we are authors because we have been published.
Well, an author is just a writer who actually got shit done.
Yes. Yes.
So send Kate to a page.
Yes, I will read it. I will read it, and we can.
Yes, she will.
Yeah.
Yep, and she will then review it, and we will rip it to shreds.
Yes, we can rip it to shreds right here. But if it's, if it's like anything like what we read of y'all's stuff earlier, might not be too much to rip apart.
It'll be just fine.
Mm.
Now, Caitlin.
Mm-hmm.
Finally got shit done.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, because, talent, lust, and congenital laziness are all things that make up an author. Modesty never, however.
Yes, I would agree with that. So, Caitlin, it is bedtime for me. I will catch you later, Zach, and it's great to meet you again.
Yeah, great to meet you too.
Well, thank you, Owen. I appreciate you coming and hanging out, bro.
Yeah. Yes, you should.
8:30? What are you, a grandpa?
You should be.
Oh no, I think it's because he still works at the bakery, so he has to get up super early now that I think about it.
Oh man. Oh no, he's one of those got to get up by 3:30 to be there by 4:30 people.
Yep, I think so.
Oh, I don't miss that. I don't. I feel your pain, sir, and I am so sorry.
Well, that sucks, Barry.
We're sorry, man.
That sucks.
Hope you find it.
Is it a book you finished? Because about DNFing.
Yes, exactly. Because we are trying to talk about something.
Trying to talk about that. Yeah, man. I just do not like DNF reviews.
No.
So
they don't.
Katie isn't here to defend herself, but that's her own goddamn fault.
Well, she wasn't here last time either.
What do you mean?
That we had this discussion on my channel. Is it a valid review?
And then we were supposed to. The whole reason we were supposed to have the discussion again was because of her.
Yeah.
Nothing like a good shank to the back. But yeah. To get back to it, one thing that. So to me, you can watch her first review of the Cyborg Tinker and learn everything you need to learn about DNF reviews. Because in that one video, she asks multiple questions based on what she didn't read that was either in the same chapter or fairly early in the book.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that her entire review of Cyborg Tinker is garbage, but she said a lot of stuff in her initial report before she DNF'd it a second time where it's like, if you just read the whole thing, you know the answers to these questions.
Right.
And, a lot of DNF reviewers do that. And that's why I just do not respect DNF reviews.
Yeah.
If you and there's a little caveat here. Mm-hmm. If you DNF'd because the prose are unreadable, like there's typos everywhere and there's no use of punctuation and the formatting is terrible, if that's why you DNF a book, that's a legitimate DNF in my opinion.
Yeah.
But if you DNF and then review a book and you just DNF because you didn't like it or one of the characters annoyed you or whatever, I don't think that it's fair to leave the author a bad review necessarily, unless you keep your review isolated specifically to what you did read and only review that. But so many DNF reviewers, they talk about the whole book, but admit
like they read it,
and that's what really pisses me off.
Yeah, it's like, because you do not have a valid judgment if you did not consume the content entire. You cannot, pass judgment on the entire thing because you didn't look at it entirely. Also, the whole thing about DNFing it based on, okay, we don't have the answers to all of these questions. Okay, that should tell you right there, this writer at least somewhat knows what they're doing, because in order, like what we were talking about earlier, in order to set up a story, you must plant seeds of questions or suspicion in the reader's mind in order to get them to want to read the rest of the story, in order to get those questions answered. We're not here to hand it all to you up front, or else the book would be a short story. See what I'm saying? So, if they're DNFing it for that reason, it is, I'm just going to come out and say it, it is because they're stupid.
Jesus Christ.
It's like, look, have you ever read a book before?
Oh.
I'm just saying. Or do you know how this works?
You just cannot play nice with the other kids in the sand.
No, it's just
sand.
It's like, straight in the eyes. Yeah, no, it'd be like, but if they weren't blind to begin with,
Caitlin, come on.
I'm just kidding. Okay. No, because, we all know that by definition, people who read are not supposed to be stupid.
I would agree with that.
So, yeah. No.
Once upon a time, reading was the smart man's hobby.
Right. But then we got infected by all these instant gratification people. And
instant gratification people and the SEO people.
Yeah.
And the right to market people.
Yeah. And that's where all of this DNFing, because it doesn't get handed to them up front, comes from.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's those people that I am calling stupid. I am not calling readers in general stupid because, yeah.
Well, okay. Lauren,
Thank you, darling.
I will find. I'll just let her off the leash then. You guys are in for a wild ride.
Hey. I might not say much, but what I do say packs punch.
Now,
sometimes
I want to say something about how to leave a good review. Because in my opinion, because look, I am also a reader. I'm not just an author. And I like to think I'm a pretty good reviewer. And in my opinion, what makes a good review is making it clear to the person receiving the review that there's things that you as a reviewer preferentialize. This is what you look for, and you make that clear. And then you explain why the piece of art did good or did not do good within the categories that you look for things. I think that basic structure in one form or another is what makes a good reviewer.
Yeah.
I do it very simply in these are the 5 things I look for. Here's why the book gets scored in that way. And I go from 1 to 100. And I think that doing reviews in this way is a good exercise in actually thinking about the work
Mm-hmm.
Not just going by doing it this way, you can begin to remove your emotions from the thoughts when
Mm-hmm.
you begin to structure your analysis of things in a slightly more critical way. And so even if you had an emotional response of like hating the movie,
Mm-hmm.
using this kind of a system will allow you to say, but objectively speaking, it wasn't bad. I just hated it.
Right.
So
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that I will say, this is one of the things that Sammy and I talked about too, in a video I have coming out tomorrow. If a book does not move you, then the writer did not do their job. So one of the ways that you can tell a bit of objective quality measure is if a character or an event or the prose were able to actually move you to some kind of an emotional response, then the writer actually did do a good job.
yes.
Like,
Even if, mind you, that response is disgust.
right. Yeah. And like, for instance, the huge fight that's going on because of the Savior's Champion. Okay. People,
Oh boy. Here we go.
well, well, the reason why a lot of people have an issue with the Savior's Champion is because, the main character, they don't relate to him as a character. And a lot of them find him to be a jerk. Well, if you can actually feel a feeling towards a character just because you do not necessarily like their personality as a person does not mean that the writer did a bad job of writing the story. Maybe that was supposed to be that person's personality all along, and just because in analog, if this person were a real person, you wouldn't get along with them if you were to meet them in real life, doesn't make the story itself bad or the execution on part of the writer bad. It's just a personal opinion or taste grievance.
Yeah. And just as a quick side note, just in case we didn't piss enough people off already with all the other stuff we've done during this fucking show, if you think that Toby is a Gary Stu, or that
Leela is a Mary Stu,
is a Mary Sue,
you didn't read the whole book.
No, you're a smooth brain. Okay. That is the most shallowest, basic bitch ass analysis of those characters I could possibly imagine.
Yeah. It's like, oh.
It's like, damn, you really didn't read a goddamn thing, did you?
Right. It's like, oh, I skimmed this and then piggybacked on everyone else's opinion of whose videos I watched.
Okay, hang on, Lauren. Does what apply to overhyped trad pub books like The Hunger Games? I want to know what specific thing you're asking if it applies to that book, because I would love to answer.
Like measure of objective quality, like we were talking about, as far as like if it can move you to feeling something. I would agree that Hunger Games was a bit overhyped. I will say, but that's because it is YA.
Another viewer, Lauren Adele Wheatley, sent us a poem. We will read that next week.
Yes.
Because I just saw that you sent it in, so we will read that poem next week.
Yes, that will be the first one we read next week.
Okay, cool. Yes, what Caitlin said. Good.
So great. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
what you were going to say?
Oh, I was pretty much done with the points I was making, and this comment from Lauren, what an interesting way to leave a review. What I'm talking about with my specific system and saying it's a good way to do a review, that's
Mhm.
like for people who like are actually kind of somewhat writing professional reviews, like they're actually trying to get a little bit of a reputation as a reviewer. I
Mhm.
understand with what you said, the way you typically review, that's just as a reader.
Mhm.
So you're kind of in the more general community, but that like there's general reader reviews, and then there's people who like actually do reviewer type reviews,
Yeah.
like me, and then much bigger than me, Murphy and Daniel Green. Okay,
Mhm.
I'm talking about how though me and that tier of reviewer should
Mhm.
think and do things, because there's people who are in the reviewer tier of people who review books who don't have any kind of formal breakdown system,
Mhm.
who just talk about it in a haphazard, super casual way.
Yeah.
And if you just have like a very basic blah 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 opinion of books,
Mhm.
probably not going to be very interested in your opinion.
Right. Yeah, I mean, or if you make a habit of not actually reading the books that you say that you read, um, also people who have a tendency to approach their. Now, I am not saying at all that you should not invest emotion in the things that you read, because you should, because one of the objective measures of quality is whether it can actually move you. But when it comes to like reviewing, if you're doing it from the perspective of trying to professionally review somebody, then I would say that it's better to take it from an objective standpoint of, is this proper literary execution, not, you know, emotional opinion. Because emotional opinions are for, which us as authors, we love that because it actually means that somebody engaged with the work on a more intrinsic level. But if you're going to review it from that kind of a perspective, it's more of a reader review rather than actually literary or editorial.
Exactly. And that's what I'm talking about with the tiers of reviewers thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and don't get me wrong, I think there is legitimate value in going through readers' reviews. I'm not saying readers' reviews are less valuable or anything. I
Mm-hmm.
think there's legitimate value in going through them, because sometimes you'll find someone who's just a casual reviewer, but they have something really insightful to say. I have
Yeah.
seen really high quality reviews from just average, ordinary people. In fact, there's one on my second book right now on barnesandnobles.com.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Yes. And I will forgive him all of his grammar and stuff, because I mean, it's one of those things too that you could obviously see this is not somebody who regularly reads.
Sorry.
The
I'm sorry.
rev-
I was reading Sarah's things.
okay.
You'll have to repeat that question, Kate.
No, I was saying that I said, and having looked at the review, I will forgive him his grammar and stuff, because it, in a way, it actually made me extra happy, because he did state the fact that he doesn't normally read. Am I right?
Yeah, I think he did mention that. Yeah,
Yeah.
he
So
wasn't much of a reader, but he liked this.
so the fact that your stuff kind of inspired him to actually go forth and consume
Right.
literature, that's also a very good standard of quality to measure things by too. I have liked starting out with one positive thing, giving my opinions on some topics, and end with another positivity. I like saying who I think might like that book.
Yeah, and see, and for a reader tier reviewer format, that's good. Yep, talk about what worked for you and what didn't work for you, and then making it a point to look for something good you can say. I respect that. Yep, I like that.
Yeah, and I would see that as a valid.
Yes, Barry, we heard you. Your reference book is gone. We know, bro. It truly is a tragedy. I don't know. ACOSF. I do not know what that is. And because I do not know what it is, I do not know what comparison you're making there. I personally like the Savior's Sister. I like the Savior's Champion quite a bit better. Because Leela is an unlikable bitch.
Yeah. But see, that did not color necessarily your lens for objective quality.
Yeah, no, she's a well-written character.
Yeah.
I think she's a fairly complex character and believable. And you get her personality is pretty consistent. The only thing I will say against Leela in terms of her characterization is that she has the power to solve her problem like that, and she doesn't do it, and we're never really given a tangible, acceptable explanation as to why. Oh, well, she wants to uncover their whole network. No, she doesn't. If this scenario existed in real life, she would know as soon as she killed the people who have legal standing to combat her rule, the problem's over. So she would just kill all the senators and Brontes in a night, and then there would be no one left to question her rule because she is the god ruler of this society, and literally all her problems would be fixed. So on that one, Jenna fucked up.
Yeah. It'd be like, there's a plot hole here that we keep driving over.
Yeah,
and you didn't even bother to throw gravel in it.
Yeah, I cannot let go of that one. If she wanted Leela to have a good excuse for not murdering all these people in a night, she did not think hard enough.
Yeah, it's like you could have come up with a better excuse.
You could. It is possible.
Yeah.
Like one of them has set up blackmail. Hey, if all of us wind up dead, this is gonna happen. That's just one.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And honestly, that would have been one of the easiest ones too, because she has the two sisters that she really cares about. So them saying, if we end up dead, assassins kill your family, like that would have been
right. Yeah. It's like you could have leaned more into, because it being set in the kind of arena that it is set in, being a callback to like Greco-Roman everything, there's so much that you could do as far as like leaning into like, the Borgia Machiavelli-esque angle of this, and taking it from the fact that it was from more of a female perspective. In the second one, it would have been extra just, threads to the tapestry to make it fuller as far as character is concerned, because women back during that time, and it would have shown that Jenna had done her research, women back during that time, that was one of the things that they had drummed into them was, hey, your ability to strategize and, move people and things to get them to do what you want is your strong suit, because, it's for the dudes to go out and fight and do all the, smashing and crashing and stuff.
Women use brainy parts. Men hit things hard with stick and rock.
Well, women use brainy parts and your bosoms and posterior, because that's what they're there for. So, you know,
to control men. That is accurate.
like, yeah, like these are your weapons. You know, do this thing. But, you know, but you also have to think about the audience that she was targeting it to, because she did slightly slant it YA. So, and the one thing that I noticed about that genre is the laxness in research.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%.
Yeah, and that's hence you get answers like this. I don't even know how she could fix that plot hole with research. And it just a teensy bit more imagination when it came to characterizing.
Well, not that one isn't even. That one isn't even about. Well, it is partly about characterizing, because it breaks Leela's character.
Yeah.
Youth should have been competitions to see how they would deal with problems that might occur in such a high class. Do you think the tournament should have been competitions to see how it would deal with problems that might occur in such a high class? Mm-hmm. I would agree with you that there should have been some of that in the tournament, but based on the fact that it is a Greco-Roman-esque society, all of the stuff that was in there would definitely still be in there, because it was something, I think it was Socrates who specifically talked about, if you seek to only polish your mind but never strengthen your body, then you are just as foolish as the rest of them. Something to that effect.
Yeah.
And so the Greeks and the Romans after were very fitness minded. They believed that if your arm was weak, you were an incomplete person, especially if you were a man. Women were expected to not be puny either, but it was really, if you were a man and you couldn't carry your weight, you were seen as not being a respectable citizen.
Well, I mean, that goes back to, you know, the whole, like, when you look at things in... Okay.
Kate, keep talking.
Okay. When you look at things like in from a biblical perspective, we can see in Proverbs that when he was talking about the definition of an accomplished woman, or the kind of woman that you will want to be with, one of the things that he talked about was she keeps her arms strong.
Where's that from, Kate?
Proverbs 31. When it was talking about an accomplished woman. So, and also, Paul, okay, he spent a lot of his time in, you know, Greek and Roman culture, because those were the people who were occupying that entire part of the world at the time. And one of the things that he talked about was beating your body daily. He was not talking about penance or flagellation. He was talking about physical fitness.
Training.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Which is, by the way, euphemism and terminology that holds up today. You know, a lot of our language, English, and a lot of our usages come from Greco-Roman language. Well, to this day, gym bros call a heavy workout in the gym getting beat to shit. or had the crap beat out of me, or I beat that iron. Like, this is how men who are in these circles occasionally can be heard talking. So, yeah. Now, Sarah had another comment, Kate.
Yes. Oh, right.
And it's to you.
Okay. All right. The Savior's Champion, YA. She's got a video where she talks about it being adult with Mandy Lynn. Well, they also said that Cyborg Tinker was adult.
It was more adult than TFC.
Yeah, but as far as format,
yeah,
it's YA.
No, well, so yes and no, Caitlin. I half agree with you because what Caitlin is talking about with the format is that the story is kind of formatted in that way, like the pacing, and the beats and the tropes. That's what she means when she says it kind of fits the format in terms of the genre.
It fits the formula.
It fits the formula. But Cyborg Tinker and the Savior series, both a little bit more gory than you typically see. Well, not that's although that's getting
because Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I will say in YA, well, no, God, that's not it. Yeah, so yeah, Cyborg Tinker is YA because in YA they straight be having fucking these days.
Yes, exactly. I mean, have you ever read Hush? If you haven't, don't worry about it because you don't waste the brain cells. But oh my God, or anything by Christine Feehan.
Yeah. So yeah, Jenna. Sorry, we don't give a fuck that your book is adult novel.
You just omitted
it reads like a PG-13 movie. A good one. I like the book overall.
Yeah.
I like the style and the story so much that I'm willing to overlook that plot hole and other stuff about it. Overall, I like the Savior series.
Right. But it's good.
Jenna, there's some things you could have done better.
Yeah. It's like you just yes, it is adult. But you just, omitted the whole young part at the beginning when you were describing it. It's okay. So, I mean, yeah.
So, I do declare that we have beat that topic up sufficiently.
Yes, we have.
Caitlin? Would you like to do the thing?
Do the thing? Do we have a you didn't send me in the ending one, but
I meant play the stinger again.
Oh.
To clip the segment. You are a genius.